Are we too far away now?
It does feel like
emotionally.
it feels like distant, like we're like we've just had an argument and we're not talking to each other and we're kind of like on opposite.
So we wanted to get some distance between us to get better audio quality and less echo, but now I feel emotionally distant.
I don't have to smile you. So
let's just do the intro.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to GamesVReality, the podcast where we talk about VR news. I'm at Victor Grey on all the socials, and across the room from me is at nothing, because Dale's not on any social media.
No, I'm not.
I've got a bunch of headlines. You want to hear the headlines?
I do.
Okay. If you want to skip to any of these stories, you can, because time codes are in the description, as well as links to the articles that I sourced. Breaking news, Apple Vision Pro OS is coming to the Quest 3. So you can use Apple Vision Pro operating system in Quest 3, and we're going to talk about that at the end of this show. Guess what?
What?
Virtual reality is taking flight.
Oh, finally.
Meta just announced their flight mode. They call it travel mode, but it only works on airplanes.
I'm going to stop you there. Is this for like pilots or is this like a passenger kind of thing?
This is so you can watch stuff on a plane without all your stuff flying off into the ether because it doesn't know that it's not moving.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. It's the holographic college showdown of the century. Stanford create a slimline holo display for smart glasses. So slimmer displays for smart glasses, so they just look like regular glasses, but they're holographic.
Okay.
And at the same time, alongside Meta, Princeton have worked on their own wider, denser holo displays. So which college are you rooting for?
Do they have college football teams? Who won last?
Yeah, we'll look into it.
Yeah.
I want college VR cheerleaders.
Okay, well, if you want that...
Oh, wait, I just heard the sentence I said. I don't want that.
We're trying to get ads.
I want college VR bands.
Just stop.
Bands.
Just stop.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. LG wants to make you go blind in VR.
Great.
So the Apple Vision Pro is 5,000 nits. This is 10,000 nits.
That's a lot of nits.
Yeah. Google just teased the future of smart glasses, and I'm not sure if it was on purpose or not, but for like 24 frames, you could see their new Google AI smart glasses in their latest AI video.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it. Also, we're going to look at the future of VR and controlling it with your face.
With my face?
Yeah, this is me. This is an editorial one where I'm going to talk about the future of VR based on what Google is doing with their phones. Yeah. Also, Apple's going overseas. They've been approved to sell the Apple Vision Pro in China, and they're looking to also sell in Germany, France, Australia, Japan, South Korea, Singapore. It should be announced by June 10, but China's been approved.
Great. Excellent. Can't wait.
So someone's bound to buy it.
Yep. It sounds like Apple's really hoping that.
Yeah. I saw 2 independent Reddit posts about the 3DS and Switch being played on the Quest 3. So I want to talk about porting and pirating on the Quest a little bit later on in the show too. Along with that, Xbox Cloud Gaming has support for mouse and keyboard now for certain games, and I can't wait for that to be compatible also with the Quest 3.
Yeah, me either.
I'm all about that cloud gaming. Oh yeah, we're getting handsy again in VR.
Not again.
Yeah, let's get handsy in VR. And Google's opening up an API, which I think has some potential in VR as well. So we're going to talk about all of that.
Woo.
Do you remember the first story?
I don't.
All right, okay. Meta taking flight.
Yay. Oh, yeah, the pilots, whether or not we're a passenger or a pilot. Yeah, I remember now.
Yes. So the Zuck released a video on his Instagram showing off travel mode for the Quest 3.
Yep.
So have you ever tried to use a VR headset in a car or a bus or whatever?
I have seen someone using a headset in a boat. I was watching their play space stay static as the boat rotated.
Oh,
So you could just see the boat getting further and further away from the point that they had traced in their room setup. So
so up until now, the Quest 3, basically, it tracks the room using the cameras and its internal gyros and everything. But when you're traveling, the gyroscopes are recording movement, but the cameras aren't. It gets confused, and your play space will just drift away, which is no good when you're on a plane, because you're traveling like 600 kilometers an hour.
I do love the idea of like trying to play like a first-person shooter, and then the plane starts to land, and you're going like further and further into the ground in the game. You're like, what?
No. So now basically they have a special travel mode. I'm assuming the tracking's slightly worse, but it basically will compensate. It's an algorithm that compensates for all of that weird data.
Yep.
And it'll allow you to use the Quest 3, or I think it's Quest 2 as well, while on a plane. They said only a plane at this point.
Okay, not a car?
Not a car or a bus or a train.
Is that because of all of last week's announcents about car-based VR, and
Maybe
they don't want to encroach?
Sick
That's right, exactly.
So I only just got the update yesterday, so I haven't had a chance to test this, but I'm going to jump on a train or a tram and see if it works, and I will report back.
That's not the sanctioned version of this. You need to get on a plane.
I'm pushing the boundaries. Apple Vision Pro already does this. I think they work really well. I saw Marquise Brownlee show it off. He was in the backseat of a car, and it was tracking really quite well.
Yep.
So it's good Quest 3 is getting this too.
You only want to watch movies using this thing, right? On a plane.
Yeah.
Like, that's all you want it for. Like, there are other games as well, even shooters, that, like, all you have to do is move your hand just a little bit with the controller.
Yeah.
And that's all the range of movement that you need. You don't need super tracking.
No, you don't need super tracking. And I'm probably at about 75%. My TV shows and movies I'm watching in VR now. YouTube is way less. It's more on my phone or on the TV.
Yeah, cool.
But movies is mostly in the Quest 3 now. And if I can do that while traveling, hooray for me.
Totally.
I'm not going to do it on a train, though, because I'll get stabbed, right?
It depends on the train.
Because, like, I know I can see the people, but they don't know I can see them. So they're going to be like, I'm going to rob this guy.
But maybe if you establish that you can, in fact, see them through the many cameras that are on the Quest 3, they'll be so intimidated by your many lenses.
You have to put googly eyes, like YouTubers used to do when they did VR videos.
I see, yes.
Okay, so 2 separate colleges have had holographic display breakthroughs recently.
This sounds like a math problem, like you're going to ask me how many litres each of the universities have.
I know. Okay, so this one's coming from ZDNet. This was covered a fair bit, but the next story was covered more, so I'm gonna tell you both. Stanford VR breakthrough could spell the end of clunky headsets thanks to AI. Stanford is redefining AR with glasses that combine meta-surface waveguides and AI-driven holography, offering a revolutionary way to experience digital and real-world integration.
Too long, didn't listen. Please give me the breakdown.
Okay, so basically what they've done is they've created a way to display things on a HoloLens without the clunky thickness of traditional holographic lenses. So the most common way a holographic lens works at the moment is there's 2 tiny screens that are like poking out from your forehead, look facing down, and then a see-through piece of glass is angled so it reflects into your eye, making it look like it's holographic in front of you, but actually it's above your eye and hitting a mirror into your eye.
I see.
But because of that, glasses are quite thick. They're like an inch thick out from your brow to fit the screens in.
Yeah.
This technology allows them to do it while having the profile of a regular pair of glasses.
How?
I don't know. Like, I just read it to you.
Oh, okay. And which one's doing this? Stanford or the other one?
This is Stanford. Yeah.
Right.
Whenever I hear Stanford, I think Stanford Prison Experiment.
Oh yes, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm sure there were. If you could just VR that up, it would be.
They say our headset appears to the outside world just like everyday pair of glasses, but what the wearer sees through the lens is an enriched world overlaid with vibrant, full-color 3D computed imagery. Holographic displays have been considered the ultimate 3D technique, but it's never quite achieved the big commercial breakthrough. Maybe now they will have the killer app that they've been waiting for all these years.
Well, if you want AR headsets to take off or AR glasses, you need to have a small profile. It needs to be something that you can just put on your face. So this is great. If this is, doing what they say it's going to do.
I love my Meta Smart glasses with a Ray-Ban, and I love my Quest 3, and if I could smush those together for when I'm outside of the house, that'd be great. So I'm excited for that.
Awesome.
So at the same time they made this announcement, Meta R&D also had a story break, and it is new Meta R&D reveals shortcut to ultra-wide retina resolution holographic displays in XR. This is via Road to VR, but everybody's covered this story. So basically what they're working on is resolution and field of view.
Okay.
So their technique allows for a wider field of view. So currently VR is at about 110 degrees. This gets us to about 126 degrees. I think human eyes are like 200 degrees. So we're a long way off human eyes.
Yeah.
But it's wider. But it's also retina resolution, meaning you cannot see any individual pixels. The human eye cannot detect them.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so researchers from Reality
Labs.
Thank you. Princeton University and King Abdullah University of Science and Technology. They've published a new paper detailing a method of achieving ultra-wide field of view holographic displays and retina resolution. The method drastically reduces display resolution.
These are all worded weird. I wish we could just go through these and just strip out all the buzzwords. Did I hear holography in the previous one?
Yeah, the last one had holography.
That's a word. I've never heard that word
I know.
before. I
It
feel like they
makes sense.
invented that. It does make sense.
It makes sense,
And it
but-
sounds like something that should have been in like an 80s movie. But like I'm reading it in an article where I'm meant to discern information from that, and
Yeah.
they're just like distracting me with these like, oh, holography. Ooh.
Now, the big thing to take away from these two stories is, one, Stanford have a prototype, and this Princeton and Meta story is a paper talking about a potential technology. So one's real and one's theoretical. But, again, 5 to 10 years from now, we will have like crazy good resolution. We're pretty close now with the Quest 3 where resolution is like good enough, right?
Well, it's definitely not at retina level, but if you've got crappy eyes like me, it looks good enough. So,
All right, have you heard this LG wants to make you go blind in VR story?
you told me earlier, so yes.
Oh, really? You hadn't seen it?
I hadn't
It's
seen
been going all
it.
over
No.
Reddit, like in non-VR places. 'Cause
Really?
It's such a weird story.
I only pay attention to VR related things, so I never saw it.
That's fair. So LG wants to roast your retinas with its new 10,000 nit OLED panels for VR headsets. This is by PC Gamer. Basically, LG have created a new OLED display for VR, and its brightness is 10,000 nits. Currently, the Apple Vision Pro is 5,000 nits.
I'm pretty convinced that you're making up the word nits because I've never heard it in reference to lighting before. Can you explain to me what that term means?
A nit is mostly used for smartphone. That's how I hear it mostly. Smartphone displays, how bright they are. Because that's important when you go outside in the sun, you want to be able to see your screen. So a bright screen allows you to see it in sunlight.
I see.
So this is 10,000. This is twice as bright as the Apple Vision Pro. The first thing you said to me off broadcast was flashbangs in VR.
100%. I'm a huge fan of throwing flashbangs in Onward because I'm really bad at hitting people with a gun.
Yeah.
So if I blind them, I have enough time to line up my shot.
Yeah, and in VR, so games like Onward and most other games that use flashbangs, what they do is they just make the screen go white and then it slowly fades away, and that's you being stunned in the game.
Totally.
But with this, they could physically just ruin your eyesight, and you would, however long that takes to recover, they're done.
If I whittle away at one player with flashbangs over the course of like a couple of months, I'm going to become a great shot. And no one's going to be able to debate it.
Well, the other issue is that poor person is like going to have long-term health concerns because you keep flashbanging.
But he can't sue me. He has to sue these guys. He has to sue LG.
This could be a case of like assault. You keep flashbanging them. And
Yeah,
get
totally.
assaulted.
Oh my goodness, it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. I don't know. This is cool
I
and
feel
bright.
like you should have combined this with when you were talking about the degrees of eyes. Like eyes are 200 degrees. There needed to be some kind of like there's a joke there that we can plan, right?
Right, it's getting eyes to boiling point.
And if we put that after like a reference to the cold open, we can have like a lineage of heat related jokes, and then expand.
Do you know what else is expanding?
Do I want to know?
The Apple Vision Pro's distribution.
Oh, thank Christ.
Okay. Apple Vision Pro is preparing to sell in other markets outside America. I think people assume when Apple announces a product, it's just released everywhere, but it's not always the case. And the Apple Vision Pro was only available in the US.
Nice.
I'm reading this at macdailynews.com. It was reported elsewhere. This is talking about China being approved for sale, but they're also targeting Germany, France, Australia, Japan, South Korea, and Singapore. They haven't had those announced yet, but WWDC is on June 10, so you would expect it to be announced then.
Every week when you tell me these like updates to where the headset's going to sell, it really sounds like Tim Apple like desperately telling me, I swear it's coming next week. It's going to be in China. Do you know how many people are in China? Oh my God, we're going to sell the headset. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. Oh my God.
Yeah. Everybody's going crazy for AI right now, right?
I'm not going crazy for it.
No, well, you're going crazy because of it.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you use AI quite a bit to ideate.
I do. I use it to like see what Batman looks like if he wanted a pizza that doesn't look like any pizza you've ever seen before.
Right. Well, Google was showing off their new AI model and how it'll integrate with the phone, and they were showing using a video feed from the camera to, in real time, get the AI to describe things or give information. They pointed it at a speaker, and they were like, what's this part of the speaker? And they circled it, and the AI was like, it's a tweeter. It does whatever the tweeter does. But a part of that video, one of the people put on a pair of smart glasses that are being developed by Google, and it was just in there for like 2 seconds. It was a really quick shot, but it did show that Google is thinking about smart glasses, and they looked like regular glasses.
Can we remember Google Glass?
Well, this isn't a display. This is more like Ray-Ban's Meta Smart Glasses.
Okay.
Where they have cameras and audio, and you can be like, can you translate that sign for me? And it'll read the sign and translate it for you.
I see. Well, that's cool. That's a cool midpoint.
I'm excited for this because the Quest 3 has the Valve Index and the Apple Vision Pro as competition, so they keep improving VR.
Yeah.
But the Meta Smart Glasses don't really have any direct competition that's really cutting through the...
What about the Snapchat glasses? Remember those?
Yeah. But they don't really have any competition that's breaking through right now, so it'd be cool for Google to do this too.
Totally. Do you know how much they're going to retail for, do you think? Like,
because they won't announce. They were just in one quick shot.
Yeah. So, like, if we're using the Meta Ray-Bans as an example, how much do you think they're going to charge for these?
300.
Yeah, nice.
Maybe
nice.
US. 300?
Do you think that's going to get people that are not into VR into this kind of stuff? It's going to capture the dads and the mums and the.
If it integrates with your Android phone and you can take photos and video and then have an AI assistant, I keep seeing news story after news story, people trying the Meta Smart Glasses, and they're like, "This is great.
Yeah,
I love this."
Yeah, totally. They're very discreet. They look like normal glasses and stuff, and I've seen videos that you've taken with them, and they look really cool. Like all the video is like very high resolution.
Yeah.
And you've even shown me the audio on those as well, and that sounds like you're wearing like a pair of headphones.
Yeah.
But people like next to you can't really hear it all that well, which is great.
They can hear it, but not really. It's open ear, so they can hear. But yeah.
And I don't know why, but I feel like I would be more willing to accept a pair of those glasses from Google for some reason over Meta, just on a data sharing level.
Because they're both as bad as each other.
Exactly, but I guess they've just marketed Google better, so for some reason I feel like I can trust that more.
The only issue with Google is when I bought the Meta Smart Glasses, I knew that there would be another generation that would be better, and then they released another generation, and I bought those, and they were better. They might release one pair of Google Smart Glasses and then kill the project.
Considering all the other investments that they've made into like interesting new technology, I feel like that's entirely likely.
But it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Hey, I saw another Google story, and I'm going to loop it in now because it's kind of related, but it's not a VR story. So Google has opened up its Google Home API, so anybody who develops apps can access the API to integrate with Google Home devices.
Nice.
And any Google Home compatible device too.
Okay.
So basically you can now develop apps that will interact with your Google Home and create routines or do certain things. Now, what would be interesting is if you were in VR and you also had full integration with all of your lights, for example, in your home, or your smart speaker or your Chromecast TV, or any other automated device in your home.
I'm going to point at my kettle and turn it on.
That's exactly what you could do, which you could not do on your phone, right?
No, I guess not.
Because you could, that is such a great idea that I didn't even think of. You could totally point at your kettle and just go on.
As long as this leads to the eventual ability for me to clean my room like Mary Poppins, where I point and click at shit and it just goes back, I'm all for this.
I think what you need is like a AI painting tool where you point at the clothes on the floor and it paints it out of your virtual reality.
Right. That's right. As I become more and more of a hoarder over time.
Yeah, and you just can't see it.
Yeah, that's right. My virtual room's really clean. Check out this.
Anyway, that's not really a VR news story, but I can see that future where all your Google Home stuff is integrated.
I totally agree. It's going to come to the platform in
What
some
a cool
capacity.
idea, pointing at stuff and turning them off and on.
It sounds like a Die Hard movie that's about to start up or something like that. Like a dude takes control of the house using all that Google devices.
It's some Bond villain stuff.
That's right. Except he's like in a wheelchair but wearing a headset, and it's like in the headset, I am infinite.
And the writers have to give it a really stupid name, and it's a killer app.
Yeah,
they use the word killer app, and they call it .0.
Yeah. They call it Genesis.
Not Genesis.
No, that's ridiculous.
So one thing that I wanted to cover here is another non-VR Google story. And I was going to make so much fun of it because I thought it was an April Fool's prank. But then I watched the actual video, and it turns out, no, it's real. And not only is it real, it's actually a really good project. And I felt terrible for wanting to make fun of it because the screenshot I saw looked ridiculous. So Google announced a new project that allows you to control your Android phone using facial gestures. So it's called Project Game Face, and it allows you to move a cursor around the phone using, different face gestures that you make and click on things and get certain and trigger things to happen on your phone by moving your face in certain ways. And this is basically an accessibility feature that allows people that might not have hand or finger movement to use their smartphones. But as soon as I saw the story, I was like, my golly, this would be great for VR, because the Apple Vision Pro has face tracking, the Quest Pro has face tracking, and in the future the Quest 4 presumably will have face tracking. And it would be really cool once we figure out how to not just move a cursor around, but also select things in VR without actually using our hands, but also not doing crazy facial gestures in order to do it. The algorithm's going to get so good, it's going to recognize our intentions just by looking at our face at some point.
I can't wait.
Yeah, so the future is coming where face tracking will have practical uses apart from doing creepy FaceTimes with Mark Zuckerberg.
I feel robbed because when you explain this to me,
yes,
the first thing I thought is like when you get a phone call from someone that you don't want to get the phone call from, and you go, oh, and you like, look at the phone, you're like,
brilliant.
Ugh,
Yeah.
right? And I'm about to make a joke about that. And then the whole thing goes into how this is like a fantastic tool for helping the disabled community.
It really is a really good video, and
God
it explains
damn
it really well. But the first minute of the video feels like an April Fool's Day.
Yeah, totally. I literally just talked about not having the escape key. If I could bind the escape key to like
scrunchy face.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a particular kind of scrunchy face.
You're right, though. AI will be able to detect when you just don't want to take a phone call soon and be like, nope.
Yeah. But if autocorrect has taught me anything, it's that what the computer thinks I'm thinking at any given point is very temperamental. I don't think I want it assuming that I want to or don't want to talk to people and then like hanging up the phone, you know? So if this is the
I think
start
it's
of
for
that,
the best.
Yeah, or maybe.
As long as it's hanging up and not making phone calls.
No, that's right. Yeah,
That's
you don't want to like have like a smile, right, and go, oh man, well I guess he wants some pizza. I'll call Domino's.
I'm calling Mum. It's for your own good.
Is that from something?
Well, it's from everyone in my life telling me to call Mum.
Oh,
Yeah. Hey, remember last week when we talked about the $6,000 VR gloves that had haptic feedback?
Yes, I do remember.
Well, you can just make your own if you want.
Oh, okay.
So somebody over on Reddit is currently working on a project for their own VR gloves. Now, the base VR gloves are just hand tracking gloves, okay?
Yep. They've
And
got
then
Vive trackers on top of them, right?
And
VR Vive trackers?
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
And then it tracks your fingers through sensors. And
this guy did it first. I know that you're saying that this is like a cheaper version. This dude's been around for fucking years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the
Okay,
other guys
so-
are like the professional version of it.
Yeah, so this guy has a Patreon that you can go to.
Yep.
His latest update, which he just posted over on Reddit, so it's user wannabe3 spaceman. 7 days ago on r/virtual reality, he just provided an update where he's included a little joystick at the tip of your index finger. So it's now compatible with traditional trackers because you've got the joysticks now.
Last week, when you saw the more expensive version of these, you said that they looked like the Power Glove.
This is definitely the Power Glove.
This thing looks way more like the Power Glove.
Yeah, there's another photo where the glove itself, because it's a white cotton glove, it looks extra sketchy. Like, it looks like real, like, oh, did you get that from your closet? What's that? I don't like that.
Yeah, totally. It looks like I like put glue on like a garden glove, and then I just like shoved it into a box of like Lego and various bits of technology and just pulled it out, and that's what this is. The thumbstick thing looks really
like-
kind of quaint.
It's kind of like there's a scene from, like, was it Hot Shots or one of those ones with Charlie Sheen where he's Rambo and he's in like a fight club and he dips his hands in molasses and then they dip it in glass and then the other guy dips it in molasses and he dips it in sprinkles and stuff. That looks like they've done it with Lego.
I agree.
But as far as like, you know, like people just experimenting with what's possible.
Yeah.
So basically there's a little square module that is about 1 inch by inch or maybe 3/4 inch by 3/4 inch.
Yep.
And it's got a little joystick on it and maybe a couple of tiny buttons. And it's right on the end of your index finger.
Yeah.
So if you put your hands out in front of you and then you curl your hands into slight fists, your thumbs naturally will rest over that area of your index finger. Basically the third knuckle at the end of your index finger.
Yep.
So that makes sense to put joysticks there.
Totally. Because
I really like that idea.
when you're holding a VR controller from one of the current headsets, that's pretty much exactly where the thumbstick sits when you've got your hands clenched.
Yeah.
You know, so That's a great place to put it.
This is cool. This is like we're seeing people explore what things are and what is possible. And I like this. I like seeing stuff like this.
Well, it's giving us a spectrum, right? This is the cheapest possible version of this kind of technology that you can buy. But if you wanted to buy the premium, like bleeding edge version, you could spend your $6,000 on the one that we discussed last week.
Yeah. All right, I got 3 quick stories about playing non-traditional VR games in VR. The first one is I'm a big Xbox Cloud Gaming player as of this month. I've been playing so much Xbox Cloud Gaming on my couch on the Quest 3, and I've been loving it. Xbox just announced that they are now supporting mouse and keyboard with cloud gaming. So before that, it was only gamepad.
Yeah, wow. Okay, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So I'm seeing a future where you've got your mouse and keyboard to play on your Quest 3.
Yep.
But then I was like, ooh, what if your controllers, because they have a pointer, what if they were recognized as a mouse on the screen? So you could just point and use that as your mouse. So you're playing like an RTS.
Yeah.
And you're using your joystick to move around the map.
Yeah.
And then you're pointing and dragging to use it as a mouse.
Totally.
I went into a few games that they said are compatible with it. It did not work.
Great.
But it would be a very cool feature in the future if instead of using a mouse, you're using a pointer to like play an RTS game.
I've been like playing on Airlink at some points, and it's like I need to hit like the Windows key.
Right,
or something
having
like
a keyboard would be good.
Exactly. For some reason, there's no escape. There's no way for me to press the escape key in VR at all.
No.
Like, the virtual keyboard doesn't do it.
What you have to do is you have to, in Windows, go down to the bottom corner and get their
virtual,
their
nonsense.
desktop keyboard up.
Totally. Yeah. So if I could go into VR with a keyboard in any capacity, I'd be happy. So
well, you can. You can do it.
Well, I didn't know. All right. So here we are.
All right. Okay, and really quickly, just 2 separate posts I've seen recently just floating around the internet. One person was so pumped to be able to play his 3DS on the Quest 3. Mm-hmm. It is obviously... what's it? Citrus? It's one of those launches that technically Nintendo does not want you to use.
Yeah, it's Citra VR.
And then someone else was using the Nintendo Switch in VR, and they were pumped about that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nintendo Switch, I'm less advocating for because the Switch is already available and it's also portable.
Sure.
But the 3DS is now it's now a legacy device.
Totally, it's an obsolete headset. No one, in theory, can sell you one in like an EB Games, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you can buy the games. You can buy the cartridges. So there's nothing to stop you buying the cartridges off eBay and then using this to port them to your Quest 3. That is completely ethical.
Like, the cool thing about 3DS games, of course, is that they're 3D. But that was like this flash in the pan in terms of 3D gaming so long ago. Like, VR is the perfect way to ingest that content today.
Yeah.
Totally.
And 3DS is kind of 3D, and one post I saw, they were like, you can kind of see the 3D, and I love that.
Well, and last week you talked about that exercise bike that had a stereoscopic 3D display that didn't require a headset to look at.
Yes.
So the last version of that I remember.
3DS.
It's a giant 3DS, totally.
I like it when you talk about like previous episodes of the podcast because it means people will remember to follow this podcast and look back at previous ones.
It's like it's an intentional move.
Which you could do right now. You could just hit follow on whatever podcast provider you're listening to.
Do it right now. You can do it.
All right, okay. I think that's pretty much all of the news that I want to talk about.
Can we wrap up? Is that? Are we done?
I'm not talking about wrapping up. We got 2 more things to talk about.
Oh, okay, all right.
One thing is I'm doing in VR, and one thing is you doing in VR.
You don't know what I do in VR. You can't see that.
Well, okay. Are you not doing anything in VR?
I'm not telling you yet.
Well, this is not conducive to a podcast.
I think it is. You tell me what you're doing first.
Okay. Just before we started this podcast, I put you in my Quest 3 and I showed you the Spatial app, and it failed miserably.
It did.
But the idea was really cool.
Yeah.
So if anyone hasn't heard yet, the Spatial app is just released on the App Lab store. I said it correctly this week.
You did.
And it was $10, and it almost feels like an alpha. So I'm not suggesting you buy it, but if you want to try it, check it out. Basically what it does is it brings all of the features of the Apple Vision Pro to Quest 3.
Asterisk.
Yeah. Basically all it is a web browser. And it's got a bunch of web apps like, what did I have up? Google Photo and YouTube. And it's got Netflix and Disney.
You had a Pornhub window open as
well.
Oh,
boy. But it's basically got all these web apps but you can put them around your play space and they will stay in that area just like the Apple Vision Pro does. So what I did when Beardy got here was I made a play space the size of my entire living area. So it's the living room, the dining room, and the kitchen, and a bit of the hallway. And then I put apps all around the place. And while I was using it, I was walking around and everything was tracking to the walls. I had a notepad on my fridge. I had Google Photos up on the wall instead of a photo album. I had YouTube where my TV goes. And I was walking around and all of these apps were just tracking in place.
Yeah.
And it was great. But then we discovered that if you take the headset off and then put it back on, it keeps all of
It reset the orientation of the tracking space. And so it just pretty much rotated and moved everything like a meter to the right. So like everything that you had placed wasn't nearly, as lined up with what you wanted it to be.
Because it's just using tracking in order to do this. It's not scanning the room, recognizing the room, and then remembering where in the room these things were.
Yeah.
Which is what Apple Vision Pro does. So you can leave the room, come back a week later, they'll still be there.
Yeah.
This app does not do that.
No.
But it was a little glimpse that it is possible to do in the Quest.
Totally, like 8 updates from now, this thing will probably be on par with what Apple has.
But also what this does that the Quest doesn't allow you to do is have more than 3 windows open at a time. I had about 7 things open.
Yeah.
I had YouTube, web browser, Google Photos, I had a clock, I had a stopwatch, I had a notepad, I had something else.
What activities were you doing?
I know. Well, I was just saying, what can I do? So I had like 7 different things. Right now with the Quest, you can only have 3 sort of windows open.
And I imagine that that's because of some kind of performance limitation.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Did you see any performance drops when you opened more stuff?
It is a very early version of the app.
Yep.
So resizing windows can like create lagginess. Video playback can't be great. Interactions aren't fantastic with all of the apps. But the developer has said, all of these things are on my list of things to do. I just want to get this out, get people experiencing it and learning what people are using it for and what I need to focus on.
Yep. And considering he's getting a bit of funding as well to continue expanding this, it's like, we could see way more robust features coming to it.
Yeah.
That's cool. I think something to keep in mind with this, every time there's like a third-party app that does something that should be like a first-party thing like this, I feel like it always gets broken by like a larger feature of the Quest that's meant to be like a convenience thing.
Yeah.
Every single time I need to reset my tracking on something, it like breaks an application that I'm using, whether it's like an advanced settings or like something through Steam VR.
Yeah.
You have the headset interfering with the app that you're using because the headset is boss. That's God. It doesn't matter what the app wants to do.
Yeah.
Like keep stuff in space. It's like as soon as the headset wants to change, it'll change everything.
Kind of resets orientation and stuff. Yeah.
But so yeah, I'm keen to see where this app goes.
Yeah. The more I think about it, the more I think we should have made this the headline story at the beginning. So I'm just going to do this, and we're going to cut it into the beginning.
I was going to say, with the magic of editing, you can just
with the magic of editing, I'm going to do a breaking news and then go back to headlines. So you ready for this?
Can you just no? Can you rearrange the entire podcast so all of our enthusiasm
is like actually, Memento?
Exactly. And you can hear us get more and more defeated over the course of it. But at the end, you realize that we start defeated and that we progressively get more.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to do a breaking news, and I'm going to put it at the beginning. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Nice.
Oh, that was good. I think I just did the breaking news. I think it worked.
You did?
All right. You had something you wanted to talk about.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
You've said you had something you wanted to talk about.
Team Beef this week, they updated Beef Raider. And if you don't know what Beef Raider is, it is Team Beef's VR port of the original Tomb Raider game. So you can play this on native Quest standalone if you download it through their Patreon and load it through SideQuest. But the features that they've released it's 0.3.6 early access, and the changes are that there's a third-person mode that you can go into. There's a toy/miniature mode, which is quite interesting. Optional injection of a modified Lara's braid mesh if you're really dissatisfied with the blocky hair.
Oh, okay.
Crash fix for certain game files or levels depending on their origin. The ability to hide the IK body, so when you look down you might not want to see the boobs. Optional auto switch to third person for interactions and cutscenes.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
I just watched a 6-year-old video of the PS4 Tomb Raider, and they were playing in third person, but it was a 3D video on YouTube.
Oh, yep.
And it looked great. So I want to check out Beef Raider now.
Yeah, totally. As a platforming game, third person is generally better for that kind of experience. I guess because it was a third person game to begin with, a lot of that has been designed around that. So the fact that you can access that now is really helpful. If you play Team Beef's Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, and Outcast ports, they've got third-person modes in those as well. And I found them quite helpful when I was like trying to get around particular platforming sections in that game.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of like premier third-person games that you can play. There's Lucky's Tale. What's that one where
Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice has VR, and that's a third-person game as well.
What's the Team Squanch game? What's that one called?
Game. Yeah. I never played that one. Which one is it? Yeah.
There are a few third-person games, but like we have such a huge catalogue of fantastic 2D games that could be 3D, and I'm pumped for that.
Totally.
And this plays natively on the Quest. We talk about Team Beef a lot, but these play natively in the Quest. You load it onto the Quest and you just play it anywhere, which is great.
Yep, it's fantastic.
Yeah, cool. All right, that's everything I've got. Is that everything you've got?
I hope so.
Should we end the show?
I hope so.
Well, if you've gotten this far, please remember to hit follow or share the podcast with someone that likes VR.
Please do.
Don't share it to someone that doesn't like VR.
Well, you could do that too if you wanted to.
I try to do that, and they don't appreciate it. Non-VR people don't want to be VR people.
I guess not. Well, you could try. Maybe you can succeed where we failed.
Yeah, I'm going to upload this on all of the podcasting places as well as YouTube. So if you'd like to leave a comment, go to YouTube, or you can reach out to us at...
GamesVRealityPod at gmail.com.
That was very good. Yeah, we never remember the email, but we remembered it this week. We'd love to hear some feedback. DAaaale always wants to hear when we're wrong, which I imagine is quite often.
Please tell us when we're wrong.
Yeah, it's good engagement.
We were wrong 2 podcasts in, and I fell for the wrong information. It's really necessary that you guys reach out to us.
Oh, no. All right, cool. Thank you so much for listening. Do we have an outro this time?
Me? No. What? An outro?
Outro music.
There's outro music?
Did you make some?
No. Was I meant to?
Well, this is the end of the podcast.
Uh-oh.